Hello and welcome to another edition of Paydirt TV. I'm Michael Washbourne and today's special guest is Firefinch Managing Director Michael Anderson. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure, Michael.
You've been in the hot seat now for not quite 5 months. There's been a fair bit of activity happening in the company in that time. Have you had a chance to catch your breath?
Not really, Michael. It's been tremendous. Look, and I first admit I did inherit significant tailwinds off the back of the Marilla acquisition, but the job was to gather that momentum into some of the operational events that have gone on, the dewatering, the recommencement of mining, the refurbishment of the comminution circuit, back starting to produce some serious ounces here. And so that's been great. And of course behind that as well then the Goulamina transaction with Ganfeng. So to be honest, the time has flown by. It has kept me very busy, but it's great to be busy when you're doing positive and productive things.
Excellent. Well, on the gold side of the business, the Marilla acquisition has been the headline milestone for the company.
Yeah.
You've had a 3-stage plan to get it back into production, and currently you're just starting stage 2 after the stage 1 retreatment. So tell us a bit about sort of the current activities that are going on site.
Yeah, so there's been a significant ramp up in mining activities. So having recommissioned that crushing and grinding circuit, we're now back mining at both Marilla Pit 5, right on the flank of the old Marilla Super Pit, but also now into Viper, which is the first of the more remote satellites, just about 20 k's away. And that'll see an uptick in both tonnes and grade, and translating through to a gradual increase in produced ounces too. But the real prize here is getting back into the heart of Marilla. We started the dewatering of the pit back in April, got a bit of work to do there, but on track. And we started drilling there, and I think that's been a real highlight. Our first hole, which we released last week underneath that historical high grade, 10 metres at 30 grams, has given us a lot of encouragement. And so the focus now, drilling there to prove up the first stages of the intended pre-strip and mine plan for Marilla that we expect to be back into in the first part of next year.
Excellent. Well, that stage 3 part of the mine plan is getting the Marilla Super Pit, as it's sometimes known, or Morila of the Gorilla, as Mark Bristow once called it, back into operation. Sort of how far away is it realistic before we start seeing mining at the Super Pit?
So pre-strip will start first quarter next year, and I expect first ore tonnes from Marilla in the second quarter. But back into the heart of that high grade, and there are some historically spectacular grades from when Mark and Rand Gold were busy there. But that high grade intersection from last week, that's probably a couple of years into the mine plan. However, we are very much focused on evaluating the underground potential there, and that's something that could come about quite a lot quicker. In that, if we were feeding in some high-grade ounces, not dissimilar fashion to West African's project, where they've got the bulk of their tons coming from the open cut, but a very nice high-grade component from underground. That analogy works well for us, and I think Marilla can support that.
Another important milestone for the company in very recent times has been confirmation of the demerger of the Golomina Lithium project, which had been sort of the foundation asset of the company for a long period of time. You've said that it's going to be spun out into a new vehicle, Leo Lithium, which you're doing in partnership with Ganfeng. Yep. Tell us about sort of the process over the next couple of months in that regard.
So we're already well advanced with Ganfeng discussing a definitive feasibility study update, and we've engaged Lycopodium, who did the original study, and they're bringing Ganfeng, that is, some technical smarts to flowsheet optimization, and we're refreshing the costs. And all of that is aimed at expediting a final investment decision before the end of this year. And having all that in our top pocket, if you like, before we demerge Leo is certainly seen as the optimal way to bring this company to market. We're out recruiting for the executive team there, and very pleased with the calibre of candidates that we're seeing. And of course, the fact that we have attracted Ganfeng, I think, speaks volumes to the quality of this project, and it's great to have such a highly credible partner. So all being well, Leo Lithium will come to market in the first quarter of next year. Firefinch shareholders shaped to receive that in-specie distribution at no cost, and Firefinch will retain approximately a 20% ownership and have that continuity of stewardship, if you like, until Leo's really off and running properly. And all being well with that fast-tracked FID, we should have first spodumene concentrate production in late 2023. That's the plan.
Well, you touched on there about having Ganfeng on board as a significant partner in the project. I'd imagine that having, arguably the world's most well-known lithium name in Ganfeng on board says something about the quality of the Goulamina project.
Absolutely, and I think they were definitely attracted to the quality of the concentrate, pure 6%, low in impurities, and also the potential size of this asset. We defined a 23-year mine life originally at 2.3 million tonnes per annum throughput, producing over 400,000 tonnes of spodumene concentrate. But already your mind starts to turn, well, how big could we make this? Is there a stage 2 in the wings? And the answer is absolutely yes. I think we will get back on the front foot with drilling and resource and reserve development gear, and that shapes to pave a very attractive looking future for Goulamina. And I think the market has seemingly started to take notice. When we announced the deal, there was a bit of attention, but now that we've consummated those long form documents and starting to map out the timelines, I think people paying a lot more attention than they were. But I think that the real crux of the demerger is to give these two assets their own leases of life, and we're convinced that's the way to optimize the value for everyone.
And Mike, just before we let you go, there's obviously a lot happening in the company at the moment in your first 5 months, with roughly 5 months to go before the end of the year. What are the key things you think shareholders should be excited about?
Well, I think we have mapped out our news flow pretty well, what we're doing, what we've done, what we're going to do next, and certainly the drilling at Marilla and the ongoing ramp up of production, targeting those first ore tons from Marilla in the beginning of 2022. There's a lot of news that will come out of that operationally, but certainly dotting the I's and crossing the T's on the Goulamina DFS update, getting that final investment decision agreed and made, and clearing the path for that demerger. All of that will have much more flesh on the bones by the end of 2021.
Mike, always a pleasure to chat to you. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to further updates as the year progresses.
Thanks, Michael.